Hello and welcome to Group Chat. I'm your host, Bentley, and today I'm excited to welcome Pat Kelly, filmmaker and director of content creation at Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Charmagne Chi, performer, comedian, and administrative associate at the Irish Classical Theatre Company, and proud to welcome S.J. Velasquez, director of audio strategy at Buffalo Toronto Public Media and competitive Irish dancer. Woo! Today we're talking about Irish culture, dancing, music, and parades, the tale of two parades. Then later we'll get into tournament season and, of course, Pi Day. But first, we like to get to know each other a little bit. What is your role in your group chats?
Starting with me?
Let's start with you because you're sitting across from me. And
yeah.
Charmaine, I feel like you're going to have a good
connected.
answer.
Well, yeah, I mean, my role in my group chat is to make sure everybody's working out and everybody's drinking water. I'm going to check in. Did you work out today? Did you drink water? How we doing? Self-care. Self-care is the theme of the group chat. Yes.
I need more of you in my group chat.
You got it. You got to start a group chat with me, Bentley.
For sure. I do. Pat, what about you?
I'm back to being a lurker now. Things have just been really busy, and I do send the occasional GIF, and will respond in jest to something with a funny video or like that. But a lot of times now I'm back to lurking, and I just check in, I'll say ha, and then that's it.
But then you're like the guest star. They're like, oh, Pat O'Pine.
Yeah, he's made time for us. Yeah.
So you watch to see what's going on. You just don't respond until you want to.
Yeah, until
antagonize people.
I like to sit down, and then we'll go through a whole thread, and then catch up, and then respond.
Yeah.
It's too distracting for me to respond here. So I gotta do it in one chunk.
Okay. All right. Noted. SJ, what about you?
I definitely am the person who sends the TikToks or the Instagram stories or reels. And sometimes I'm a lurker, but I definitely am the one sending those things. And I also feel like I'm the person who keeps everybody on track. So when we start going into like branches of the conversation, I bring people back. I think it's the journalist in me to be like, all right, I really need you to answer the question at hand. That's kind of how I am.
Well, good. Well, we will appreciate having you in our group chat then, because as Charmaine knows, sometimes things go a little off the rails.
They
This
do.
is not your traditional.
But we won't be evading questions
show.
today. Not with
No, not with SJ here.
Hold the people to account.
SJ, we're going to be talking today about Irish culture, and starting off with Irish dance, and you are a competitive Irish dancer.
Ooh. I am. I'm a competitive Irish dancer. I like to say I'm the worst of the best.
Yes.
I compete at a very high level. It's called Open Championship, so it's the highest level within Irish dancing, but I'm the worst of that group. So I'm really proud of how far I've come competitively. I'm proud that my old bones can still do it to some extent, but I just went to the All Ireland Dance Championships in Killarney a couple weeks ago. I don't know how I actually did because I didn't look at the results, but I'm probably in last place.
Can we pull those up?
I'm still not ready to process it, but
we can do it together. We'll help you.
But yeah, that's I have traveled the world doing Irish dancing, and yeah, I love it.
It's awesome.
So when did you get started in Irish dancing, and how did you choose Irish dancing?
I was about 12 years old. My family is not a family of dancers at all. 2 left feet across the board. Definitely more of a sports family and not really into the arts, I could say, with fairness. And I was at a wedding. I was at my Aunt Jeannie's wedding to her husband, my Uncle Tom Finn. And they, very Irish wedding, lots of South Buffalo Irish. And there were 3 Irish dancers that performed. My uncle's sister, Mary Kay, and then 2 dancers. I remember them, BJ and Katie. I don't even know if they remember this. But the 3 of them were attending the wedding, and they did a little dance. And I was obsessed. I was absolutely obsessed watching them dance. So I just knew I had to do it. And I begged my parents for a straight year until they enrolled me.
And look at that. Now you are a professional.
Oh, I wouldn't say professional. No one's paying to watch me move these legs. But
I was always impressed with Irish dancers. Charmaine, you actually had encounters with Irish dancers in your career in theater.
Yeah. So fresh out of college, I don't know if it's still there, but there was a Buffalo to Virginia pipeline, and many of us went there to work at Busch Gardens that had a multi-million-dollar Irish step dancing show in the style of like river dance. And I was not an Irish step dancer. I was like the, holding the candle and, hey, my God, like that person. Like we were the, the singers. And the Irish dancers that were a part of that show were all brought in from Ireland, and it was the same school that supplied many of the dancers for Riverdance and then Feet of Flames and all the Michael Flatley spin-offs that happened, Lord of the Dance, whatever, all of those were. So yeah, I actually had a lot of exposure to Irish dancers, and they are hard on their bodies. It is. They had a whole massage room and a person that was there to do like sports massage on them to like fix the injuries. And they had this crazy rotation because you could only do so many a day. And I forget how many shows a day. We did something like 5 or 6. And yeah, it was wild. And my best friend is married to a former world champion Irish step dancer as well. So, yes.
Very cool.
I'd love to know who.
Yeah, Derek Moran. Shout out to Derek Moran.
Oh, awesome.
SJ, when Charmaine was talking about how intense it is on your bodies, and I just look at it and see straight up athleticism. When I see the height, even in really young people, and the jumping, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, it is super intense. And to your point, thankfully, the professionals that work with Irish dancers and their bodies, that has gotten better, because I think there was a lack of recognition what was going on with our bodies. So thankfully, over time, we've been able to treat ourselves better and treat ourselves like athletes. And yes, over time, also, the dancing has gotten way more intense. Old-time Irish dancing, or it's called Shamrocks dancing. That's like old school style dancing. It wasn't like this. It wasn't big leaps, giant kicks, the athleticism. It was rhythm, timing, culture, telling stories with your feet. And it has evolved into like gymnastics and ballet, and all of these things have influenced Irish dancing. So it is way more intense than our forefathers of Irish dancing could have ever imagined it would become.
It's interesting you brought the ballet into that too, because there just are elements of that. You see all different elements. Did the shoes change as things changed too in the dancing?
A little bit, yes. Yeah. The shoes, we do have 2 types of shoes that we wear. We wear a soft shoe, we call it, or a hard shoe. The soft shoe is like a leather slipper, and the hard shoe looks like a men's tap shoe, except it has like fiberglass tips and heels. And yes, those have evolved. The hard shoes in particular, those used to just be like your fancy dress shoes, like your leather shoes that you wore to church, like in Ireland. But over time, to make more noise, they would hammer nails in the tips and heels. And then nails became blocks of wood. And then blocks of wood became fiberglass. And now they're just these beautiful torture devices.
Nails and blocks of wood, they don't sound like they were ever very comfortable.
No.
Yeah.
No, they still aren't. But
it's like the escalation of the Saw movies. They just keep adding devices.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's torturous. If you ask an Irish dancer, like, don't talk to an Irish dancer who's breaking in a new pair of shoes. You're going to get slapped. They're in a bad place.
You're going to catch a shoe to the face.
Yeah. And you continue to practice. Now, this just isn't a thing that you are doing around this time of year. You are doing this year round.
Oh, absolutely. This is competitively, like, this is something that just happens all year. We call an Irish dance competition a fesh, and fesh season is generally in the summertime, but we have our regional competitions in autumn. That is called an Oireachtas. So we're competing in the competitive realm. We're competing all year round. The World Championships are coming up, I believe in like the next month. So it's all year round with our organization. And then there are different styles of Irish dance who they also have different calendars. But no, we're going all year. This is just like a little blip in the Irish dance calendar, St. Patrick's Day season.
Yeah, and then you also practice at the Irish Center, the Buffalo Irish Center, right?
Yes, I do.
So you're a big part of that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, okay. I dance with the Rinkin Tierna School at the Buffalo Irish Center.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. I love all the names. Because there are a lot of names to keep track of.
Yes, a ton.
And, styles and names of... Is it a dance troupe in Irish dancing, or is it...
We would say like a dance school.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the informal way, I would say. Yeah.
Pat, you've traveled to Ireland.
Yeah,
quite a
no
bit.
Irish dancing. Outside, like, bopping my head.
The hair would look great on you, though.
Oh, thank you.
I should have brought a wig.
Fall.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it's a wig. It's natural. Natural, I swear.
If I grow my hair out, it is curly,
yes.
so I can probably naturally get there.
Well, you bring up the wig, SJ, but, I think about back in the day when you would, when the bar scene for St. Patrick's Day was really big, and
has it cooled?
I was.
I think it has the COVID cool a little bit.
A little bit. But you would see, like, from the morning, I remember listening to radio broadcasts in the morning on the getting ready for school from bars on St. Patrick's Day, and there would be Irish dancers.
Yes.
So can you talk about that mix a little bit? Because now you're an Irish dancer, and now you're going into this space where there's not a lot of space.
Oh, yeah.
There's other bar patrons around you. You're trying to do full dances.
Yep. Irish dancing it's restrictive, but also super flexible. And in Irish dancing, you're supposed to take up a lot of space as you dance, like in solo dancing. You want to really travel across the stage. That's how we dance competitively. But in terms of like tradition, a lot of times like Irish dancing really started, the idea of having your arms at your side and dancing on like a piece of wood is, you know, those half doors in Ireland, they'd like kind of put the door down and you'd dance on that. So you'd really just be dancing on a small square anyway.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of still expected to meet those traditional needs. So yeah, you could show up to a show and there are 6 dancers and we're all expected to dance on like something the size of this tabletop.
Okay.
You know? So you got to make it work. Keep it tight.
Yeah.
Wasn't it also like an original act of defiance?
Yes.
Because like the half doors were because they were taxed for windows by the British, so they would build half doors as like an extra window that they wouldn't be like taxed on. So it was like them.
There's
Right?
yes,
like
there's
dancing on the.
there are a lot of stories, especially about why we keep our arms at our sides, and that's one of the stories. Not only what you're saying about being taxed, but like the story I was told is that people would maybe be having a Catholic mass or a traditional mass or performing a traditional Irish whatever song dance, and to kind of communicate like, hey, everybody stop. Somebody would be watching out of the half door and they'd like pound out like a rhythm with their feet to communicate like, everybody shut up and stop playing your traditional Irish instrument or stop speaking Irish language. There's a lot of lore around it, but yeah, it's all kind of tied to British oppression.
Yeah.
A lot of Irish culture comes back.
Yes. Yep.
In case you're just joining us, you're listening to Group Chat. I'm your host, Bentley, here with Pat Kelly, who is a filmmaker and director of content creation here at Buffalo Toronto Public Media. Charmagne Chi, performer, comedian, and an administrative associate at the Irish Classical Theatre
The administrative associate, not to correct. It's not important, but.
And S.J. Velasquez, director of audio strategy at Buffalo Toronto Public Media and competitive Irish dancer. So I'm glad we have an expert in the room.
Thank goodness.
She's answered all of my questions. I will have more. It'll probably take a whole nother episode to address them.
Yeah, don't get me started. You already
started.
did.
I mean, I fell in love with Irish dancing from parades. You know, that was my first exposure. And we have 2 parades in Buffalo happening this weekend. So Saturday, the old South Ward Buffalo Parade, South Buffalo Parade, and that is at 11, and then the downtown Buffalo St. Patrick's Day Parade Sunday at 2. So the first celebrations were in the old First Ward because of Buffalo. That's where the immigrants from Ireland first settled. Yeah. So now there's kind of like a fight over the best
The Irish
like
fighting.
But the first parade was in 1913, and then it seemed to expand even more by 1915. There were thousands of Irish immigrants marching in the parade. Now, SJ, are you a part of either of these parades this weekend?
No.
As an Irish dancer, how did you get out of
Gotta
it?
save your legs.
Who do we need to call?
Save your legs for competition.
No, I think it's a little PTSD. Yeah.
Because you probably did you grow up doing the parades?
Yeah. I did my first parade. The first year I danced probably around 12. And I loved dancing and doing the parades, but and I think things have changed a lot too. But I think as a little kid, I was just like, oh my goodness, like these people are going too hard. My parents should not let me here. Yeah, it just felt like, I don't know, like some people were so great and they enjoyed it and they're clapping, but then it was like a little rowdy sometimes. Yeah. So I kind of stay away from parades. I'm going to be honest, I kind of stay away from a lot of St. Patrick's Day celebrations because I love celebrating Irish culture all day, every day anyway. Like I practically live at the Irish Center. Yeah. So I kind of like, I'll like help. I'll MC shows
Yeah.
and volunteer.
Dabble a little.
But I kind of
Stay away from the plastic
away.
patties.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I think my parade viewing has changed too as I've changed.
Yes.
Charmaine, are you a
Do you
parade
remember the
goer?
parade now? Is that
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the first
You're like,
time I
this
went
is
to the
really good.
Yeah. The first time I went to the downtown parade, I didn't actually go to the parade. I'm like, oh, the parade's done. The parade went by. I didn't see it. Last year, I actually saw the parade, and I was like, oh, there's dancers,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
there's everybody's dressed up. There's bagpipes. This is great. Now that was the
amazing people.
Sunday parade.
Yes.
The Saturday parade was a little different, but
Accidentally in the Sunday parade one year on my way to rehearsal, Toy, the Allendale Theater, the tail end of the parade, all of the I'm like, why am I driving to the theater surrounded by floats?
You were
Like it
in the
just
parade.
I was like, I'm in the parade right now. I'm in the parade.
at that point, they probably didn't even notice.
No,
right?
no. I was like, it's taking forever, and I'm literally in the
Yeah.
parade, so it was great.
I think my favorite part of the South Buffalo parade was actually leaving the parade early and going to the Irish Center because everybody wasn't
Yes.
there yet, and there was
Yes.
music and
Parking.
good food, and I was like, "This is the move right here." Don't anybody else do that because that's what I'm doing.
I can't believe you just gave that away.
I know.
We're going
do
to cut this
that.
part out.
Cut that out, 'cause I don't want anybody to know my secret. I'm like, "Oh, the parade started." I go to
Yeah.
the Irish
Nice.
Center.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, that's so smart.
Yeah.
Because it gets pretty wild at the Air
Yeah.
Center too.
Yeah. Pat, how about you? Have you experienced, what is your experience with parades? Because I know you lived in New York for a while, and the New York
Yeah.
parade, same. I did not actually see the parade.
I used to go to the New York parade every year because my aunt's boyfriend runs the security for all of New York City events and parades. So
Wow.
it was like a sweet little meal ticket where I would text her and she's like, yeah, we're taking the Long Island Railroad in. And I'm like, all right, I'll meet you up in Penn Station. And then they would escort me into the bullpen where all the viewing stands are.
Yeah.
So I get like a little free pass to go in. And that was great. So I did that every year. I tended to stay away from a lot of, because like what I was saying earlier, the plastic patties thing, a lot of people will use St. Patrick's Day as like an excuse and to get like belligerent, and
Yeah.
it's not really like my scene. And I also think it does a disservice to a lot of like Irish culture because it like is stereotyped in certain ways, and I don't want to necessarily like perpetuate that.
Yeah.
So afterwards, I would always just kind of like go home, and sometimes I would go up to the North Bronx. Like there's a neighborhood that's like
Woodlawn.
It is an Irish enclave.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It's where I danced in New York. I
really?
danced in Woodlawn. Yeah.
Yeah, Woodlawn is so
Mm,
great.
the Bronx.
So
It's
Yeah, I
right on
lived
the
in
border of
Bronx.
Yonkers and the Bronx, and they just like real. Like it feels like you're in a little Irish neighborhood.
Yeah.
All the signs like have like Irish and English. It feels very authentic. A lot of the pubs. So yeah, if you're looking for an authentic
Got the
Irish
Art
experience,
Center.
yeah.
I love Woodlawn.
So explain, Charmaine, are you wondering too, what is a plastic patty?
Oh yeah. So a lot of people will be like, I'm Irish today, and then like just lean into all the stereotypes of the Irish.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
people in Ireland aren't so keen on the Yanks who do that, they say.
I'm
So-
1/8 Irish.
Yeah. And they're like, I'm gonna get drunk and fight everybody here because I'm Irish, but they're using it as an
Yeah.
excuse to act. But people in Ireland call people like that plastic patties
Yeah.
because of all the green plastic hats that they'll wear on St. Patrick's Day.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they're a plastic patty that day.
Nice.
Can I say one thing? To be fair, I think the organizers of the parades do a phenomenal job. Like the people who are organizing them are the people who are committed all year round, who
Yes.
love the culture, who love the dancing, who love the
For
music,
sure.
who want
Yeah.
to. They're giving scholarships to people. They're organizing. They're fundraising. They're supporting the community. So they're doing like a fantastic job of all that work. But yes, unfortunately, people like to
Yeah.
take advantage of
I
it.
mean, you can still have fun.
You can look at it as a way to remember and highlight and remind people. I guess sometimes you need the
Exactly.
reminders of
Yeah,
the organizations, the arts organizations. Irish Classical Theater, which we are going to be talking about,
segue.
Charmaine.
Okay.
Before we go to break, though, let's clarify, and I think Pat, maybe you can talk about this: St. Patrick's Day versus St. Patty's Day?
Yeah, so you don't say St. Patty's Day. It's either St. Patrick's Day or Paddy's Day. So
yeah,
Paddy
D's.
for Irish people, it's like a day for the Irish. So you can say, Paddys, like Paddy's Day or St. Patrick's Day. But like St. Patty's, Patty,
Is
is
the
not
female is short for the Patricia.
Patricia.
Yeah.
Paddy is short for Patrick.
Because Patrick in Irish is spelled with a D. What is it? Padric.
Yeah, and in Irish
Porrick?
it's pork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would that
Park.
be Gaelic?
Irish Gaelic.
Irish Gaelic, okay.
The Irish would call it Irish, but I believe it's considered one of the Gaelic languages.
Yeah. You may hear Gaelage but yeah, they just call it Irish now.
Okay, and then you have to spell it correctly too. So if you are posting on social media, Happy St. Patrick's Day, it's Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Or Paddy's Day.
or
Happy Paddy's
Happy
Day.
Paddy_S.
Charmaine,
I'm going to screw it up.
so much
I already
pressure.
screwed it up. I already screwed it up.
Charmaine, are you going to go to the parade? Or do you plan on parading?
No.
You're very busy.
No, I do not. No, we lay low at home and are really gross and make a really Americanized version of the holiday. We will do a corned beef and cabbage, 2 crock pots going, one with Guinness, one with water. We still think the water is better. I know it should be better with the Guinness. I don't know why it's not. We'll drink Guinness. We will play Irish music, and we'll probably watch Riverdance. So you know what? It's just an authentic. I'm really into like dipping my toe into the literal culture and not the Americanized version of holidays. So we try to, really.
And once again, I'm hungry during group chat. So when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about Irish culture in Buffalo and how we celebrate St. Patrick's Day and Irish culture in other ways next on group chat. Don't go away.
Every time that we breathe in now, there's a new beginning. We're soaring away. We're starting today. So dive with me. We're alive.
Thanks for joining us again on Group Chat. I'm your host, Bentley, and I'm joined by Pat Kelly, filmmaker and director of content creation at Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Charmagne Chi, performer, comedian, and the administrative associate at the Irish Classical Theatre Company.
Thank you
and
for respecting my title.
and SJ Velasquez, director of audio strategy at Buffalo Toronto Public Media and competitive Irish dancer, and a wealth of information.
Yeah, both of you.
I know, me and Charmaine
And I'm
are
here too,
here,
you
like,
guys. I'm also here.
Yes, you are. You are so
well, this
here.
is your time to shine.
Oh, is
Charmaine.
it?
You
Is
know
it?
that we always give you
Glitter, glitter.
You're involved in the Irish Classical Theatre
I am.
that has programming year-round.
They do. Come see us. We are right in the theater district, 625 Main Street, Buffalo. Beautiful theater in the round. No one is, I think, more than 15 feet from the action. Just 3 rows of seats. You have a very intimate viewing experience. And if you have to go to the bathroom during the show, chances are you will literally run into an actor on your way out the door because the doors you use are our wing space and our entry into the theater. Yeah, it's very intimate. A really cool viewing experience.
Now, the theater in the round, is that I've seen theater in Ireland, and there is a lot of theater in the round that happens. There's a lot. I feel like there's more, a lot of small theaters in like Dublin, and there is they subsidize the arts in Ireland, so there is a lot of accessible theater.
Yeah.
In Ireland.
Yeah.
Is that part of the inspiration for Irish Classical Theatre?
So Irish Classical Theatre was started by 2 brothers that came over and wound up in Buffalo doing a production of Waiting for Godot, and I believe fell in love and stayed. Visit irishclassical.com for the entire backstory of the company. But yeah, Keely Sheridan is our artistic director, and her vision for the theater, I think, is a very unique. We're hearing lots of different voices but the Irish theme is still there.
Yeah.
So come see us. Come see Dorian. We open March 28th, running through April 13th. It's super gay and homoerotic and wonderful. It's a North American premiere written by Phoebe Eclair Powell and Owen Horsley. This is just off the top of my dome, so don't be impressed. But yeah, Irish classical is now, of course, the focus is Irish playwrights, Irish stories, but uplifting different voices. And this particular show, and also just supporting the community in Buffalo. You know, a lot of folks can have an opinion that it's difficult to break into the theater scene in Buffalo. This production is almost all brand new people in front of, on stage and behind the scenes. Our director is new to Irish, as well as the cast. So please do come see Mason Beggs. Do come see, who is our... I'm definitely having to look at this. I'm sorry, I'm not in the show. So if
No,
you can
you're
make it look like I know
you-
what the heck I'm talking
No,
about,
I'm
that would be
impressed. I am
amazing.
impressed.
So I'm an actor, so I do know the three actors. So Chris Bartolomeo, Brian Brown, and Dave Spychalski. This is the three of their first time working at Irish, and I'm certain it will not be the last. I've worked with all three of them. They're incredible. So yeah, please do come see this homoerotic masterpiece based on Oscar Wilde's story.
And yeah, so it's an adaptation that you haven't seen before. It's a North American premiere.
Correct. And again, I have not seen the designer run yet, but I am copied on all of the rehearsal reports, and I'm seeing things like choreo rehearsal, opening number review. So this is not your grandmother's Dorian. So do come see.
Dorian he'd want to be portrayed.
Exactly. I think so.
Pat, you've spent a lot of time in Ireland.
Yeah.
And you've spent a lot of time with culture. What have been some of your cultural experiences in Ireland? I know you're a big film person. That's your thing.
So I studied in Ireland and studied screenwriting there. There was a small program through my school, so I went there with my best friend, and we were there for a whole semester. Ended up getting my Irish studies minor because of that.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had also taken a couple Irish classes like back stateside, and so once we came back, I was like, oh, we qualify for this minor. So yeah, it was great. But yeah, studied a lot of Irish film while we were there. One of my favorite Irish movies called Good Vibrations. It's about the Irish punk scene.
Yes.
We actually got to see an advance screening of that and give notes because our screenwriting teacher was a script consultant on it, or script supervisor. So we got to watch an early cut and then give notes, and that was really cool.
Wow.
And after it had premiered, I watch a movie probably like every other St. Patrick's Day. It's a very feel good movie.
Have you watched Kneecap?
I was just
on
gonna.
So
Netflix?
Kneecap, I'm saving for this St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, you haven't
No,
seen it yet?
I love Kneecap,
But
and
we talked about it. You know. I feel like you know more about it than I
know about
do.
I know about
and
the
I watched
band.
it. Okay.
I was saying, yeah, I'm going to watch it the St. Patrick's Day, but I've been saving it for St. Patrick's Day specifically. But yeah, I've been listening to Kneecap pretty much nonstop since for the past couple months.
And Pat is going. I'm excited to hear your shift for us. We're doing an Aaron Go Bridge weekend.
Okay.
On the bridge.
Okay. All right.
Making
I
my
know.
radio
I'm
debut.
just call me a parade person. I know. And so you're gonna highlight some of the Irish punk.
Yeah, I just finished my playlist and got it over
Can
to Mark.
you
Make a Spotify. Make it
Get a
public.
tea.
Yeah,
Tease,
so
get a
yeah, if people
tease.
want a Spotify, I can share it.
Heck yeah.
But
no
tease with
listen to the bridge? Then
We
listen
will,
to
but then
Spotify.
after.
Yes.
It'll be available a couple months. You gotta tune into the bridge first. Download the app, or just tell your smart speaker to play the bridge.
Well, and here's the thing. We talk about stereotypes. There's stereotypes in all aspects of
Yeah.
Irish culture. So theater, film, music. So there's a lot of different genres. Like Kneecap is about an Irish hip hop.
Yeah, and it I love the expanse of Irish music. Really, in the past 50 years, because traditionally it was ceilidh bands and trad music,
That's my style.
which I
Explain trad music
so trad,
for
trad
those who
music
don't know.
is traditionally an Irish fiddle, a tin whistle, and some drums, and I'm also forgetting
usually-
I
a
love
guitar.
that, though.
Yeah.
The
Accordion.
The accordion.
Yeah, that's the ball rand.
That thing. Yeah.
But
What was
That
that?
concert
What was
Where
the
you,
name
you
again?
like
The-
hold
the
it
bar
and
end?
you,
Okay.
yeah.
it's a little hand drum.
Yeah.
It still great if you ever go to Ireland, or if you go to Woodlawn in the Bronx, or just like any Irish pub that does a trad session. That's what they're called, the trad sesh.
Charmagne Chi's.
Yes,
do they?
Saturdays.
Oh.
Don't tell anybody else.
No, we have to tell the
No, I
Yeah.
know.
So
all Saturday.
Yes,
a trad
every
sesh,
Saturday.
I love. You should always go to a trad sesh. They're like really fun, and that is like real traditional Irish culture. But the departure in Irish music since then, I have loved, because rock really took off in the 60s with Rory Gallagher, so he's on my playlist. Thin Lizzy in the 70s. But as of late, they just have a really good indie rock scene too, because they're just kind of, music's a little more global now. I feel like there's a lot of American influence and British influence, and so yeah, and then Irish influence it goes both ways, and the music scene there, I feel like, has really moved in a lot of directions.
Yeah.
So by the end of my playlist, it's very eclectic, and yeah.
I feel like the music has also been cyclical too. Like one of my favorite examples, like my favorite Irish band, they're called Bioga. They're pretty trad. They're a trad band, but they're amazing. They have beautiful everything. They're perfect. But they then inspired Ed Sheeran.
yeah.
And then he had, what was that? He had an album out. I can't remember the name of it, but it was very Irish influenced, and they were on the album, like multiple tracks. He was super influenced by them. He had a song called Galway Girl,
Yep.
and that was actually influenced by the lead singer of Bioga. So we see it in pop culture. We see old school become new,
Yeah.
become old, and it's just kind of, it's a really exciting time to see the old stuff come back.
Yeah, I mean, I love the traditional sessions, and like you were saying, the Nietzsche sessions on Saturdays. But even when you're in Ireland and you walk into a pub and
Any
just
pub
people just
in
playing
Dublin,
music just to
yeah.
play, just to play. And I mean, I think the movie Once, even though that's been out for a little, kind of brought that back into pop culture again,
Yeah.
even though that was a super independent movie. But then,
I think one of the most successful independent movies
Yes.
of all time, like box office wise.
Yeah.
It's only made for like $20,000-$30,000
Yeah.
and grossed millions.
and then the awards that came out after that,
Mhm.
and then
Got a Broadway show.
yeah, for sure. And then, so in terms of your musical experience, so you're leaning a little more, punk.
Yeah, I lean a little more punk. I also think because, the nature of Ireland is also just very political because
Yeah.
of, Irish oppression historically. Their punk scene is just awesome
Yeah.
because they have, so one of my favorite lines in that movie, Good Vibrations, is they're talking about punk, and when punk came around in the late 70s, they always said New York had the hair, London had the trousers, but Belfast had the reason, because of the Irish occupation, or the British occupation there in Northern Ireland. And so since then, punk has really been influential across Ireland, and even now there's like really big post-punk bands like Fontaines DC,
Yes.
who you saw,
One of
right?
I saw them live. I'm like trying to get them. They did like a couple dates in the U.S. and we're trying to bring them back, but now there's some tariffs and issues. Anyways, but even before that, though, you really have to, for bands to come across the pond, there has to be a full-on tour and financial reasoning. But I think you hear them now played during like every hockey game. It's so
Yeah, well, they just have a great like crowd presence,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think the enthusiasm. That's another thing I do love about Irish music is like the love of music is it like runs so deep in every like musician that if you go to Ireland, you can. It's less about like getting famous there. It's more about playing music and expressing themselves, and it's a very literary like culture as well. You have a lot of like Irish playwrights and writers that have come out of there. There's a lot of like big thinkers, but the music too, you have this mix of like great lyricism and thinking, but also a lot of like Irish heart and care that goes into it. So you could walk down Grafton Street in Dublin and there's just people like gigging on the street, just playing like busking, and that's really popular. And they don't do it for like money, really. It's really just to have music everywhere.
Do you you think because there's such great funding for the arts over there too that there's less pressure to have commercial success? It's not having the necessity of being a business in order for you to pursue music and the arts. And
yeah, it could be. I don't know. I think maybe a mix of both. Like there is, like great funding for the arts, but I also think it's just there is just a really strong culture.
Yeah, there's a big. I think Irish music. It's also important to know Irish music and Irish dance they're acts of defiance because you weren't allowed to do them, or you weren't allowed to speak the language, you weren't allowed to do your dancing, you weren't allowed to play your instruments. So the fact that it survived, like Irish language almost died off completely.
Yeah.
And the fact that it made a comeback and it's an official language now and it's being recognized and taught in schools, and Irish dancing didn't die and Irish music didn't die and the tunes just kept going through families and storytelling. To do it now is still an act of defiance.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I love Kneecap. Have you heard them?
Only through the movie.
All right. So listen to some of their music. So they're also trying to bring back the Irish language in their rapping too, and they do a phenomenal job. I know politically it's a mixed bag. Like with they're divisive in Ireland too.
Sure.
Like both in the Republic and in Northern Ireland. But one thing I think that they do really well is the promotion of the Irish language on a commercial level.
Charmaine, when you're listening to music and you're making your corned beef and cabbage, what are you leaning towards?
Primarily lad bands. We like the Irish station on Pandora. Whatever they feed us.
Yeah.
A lot of.
I never heard the term lad
Give me a second. So
if in America they're a boy band.
lad
In Ireland, wouldn't they be a lad band? I mean, I feel like
that's it. We're learning so much today here on group chat. No, I appreciate the insight that everybody is sharing, and we are joined today, if you're just joining us, Pat Kelly, filmmaker and director of content creation at Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Charmagne Chi, performer, comedian, and the administrative associate at the Irish Classical Theatre Company.
I'll answer that phone.
Her new hype person, S.J. Velasquez, Director of Audio Strategy at Buffalo Toronto Public Media and competitive Irish dancer. And as we've mentioned, Buffalo has a rich Irish history. Yes, we celebrate with the parades. The Old First Ward was a center where a lot of Irish immigrants settled because of, the grain mills, the railroad, and the work in that area, the Erie Canal. And then the 1800s were a big time of settlement because of the Irish potato famine. And Pat, there is a series that you can watch as part of Compact History. There is the truth about the Irish potato famine.
It's the Fenian invasion, but we talk about the Great Hunger and then relate that to the Fenian invasion, which launched out of South Buffalo over to Canada to try to put a dent in the British crown. But I won't say the whole story. I want you all to go to YouTube, search Compact History, and
there is the Buffalo connection. It's very prominent in
that. The Fenian invasion, where it was a group of Irish or sympathetic to Ireland's cause, soldiers from the Civil War who launched an invasion of Canada from South Buffalo in order to overthrow the British monarchy.
Oh, I gotta go watch that.
Yeah,
because I know the story, but I haven't watched it in a cool format before.
And if you talk to people with even distant Irish descent in Buffalo, there's usually a Canadian connection.
Oh, I don't have a Canadian connection, but I do have.
Not usually, but often. Sorry, I shouldn't say
no,
usually.
No, I am one of those people, like the 1/8 Irish. I'm 1/4 Irish ancestry. My grandfather's family came to Buffalo from Ireland, but we have the connection to the South Buffalo connection and the Beechers. I don't know if you've ever gotten into that, the squatters. So I'm a descendant of Irish squatters who came and built shanty towns and lived along the water, for free, just at the end of Michigan Ave. And that's how the Irish came here. They were really scrappy. They had nothing. They took some space. They, fed their families. I believe my great grandmother or whatever. She ran a tavern But yeah, they were all squatters. Wow. Not all, and they're right next to Canada.
Yeah. Now, I think there's a reason you were drawn to Irish dancing. I don't know. I think it's more than you just liked how it.
Oh yeah.
I think there is just something inside you.
For sure.
I know when I traveled to Ireland, same, like 1/4 Irish. So I'm not, not claiming. And I was talking to my aunt, and she's like, "Oh, your grandmother was Irish." And I'm like, I feel very welcome here. I feel like this place is a part of me. And she's like, well, yeah, you're Irish. I was like, okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Something there.
It's a warm place too.
Yeah.
But warm like emotionally, not like tropically.
They're very welcoming.
Yeah. So you've traced your history, and the parade route, the original parade route, actually reflected those areas.
Yeah.
So there was parts of Elk Street and Abbott Road that then became South Park Avenue.
Yeah.
That was the area where all the festivities and celebrations started.
My family pretty much stayed in that area too.
Yeah.
I lived above my grandmother in South Buffalo, right over there, before moving to New York. The Irish are still there. It's pretty wild to know that like people's distant ancestors went to this one place, and then today those families are still there.
I had that in Queens. My grandfather was from Brooklyn, Queens, and he is one of 10. So his dad was born in Ireland, came over, and then had like 10 kids here.
Yep.
Or I think he had a couple in Ireland, then came here and had 8 more.
My mom's one of 11 on the Irish side.
Yeah. So like very, very big families, is, very big, loud families. And, he met my grandma and ended up moving up to Rochester, and then had a family up there. And that's where I grew up. And then I went down to New York City for school, and then moved to Queens afterwards into Ridgewood. Mm-hmm. And I was just looking up as part of like a self-genealogy thing. And I found out my grandfather lived 4 blocks away from where I had moved to. And I didn't even know that. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So,
Ridgewood still has a big Irish crew there too.
Yeah. And it's just wild. Yeah. It's kismet.
Charmagne, being a part of the Irish Classical Theater, and obviously you mentioned the people that established the theater.
Yeah. Vincent and Chris O'Neill.
Yes. So continuing the tradition, the Irish tradition, how are plays chosen? I know you said that you want it to be all-encompassing.
Yeah. So
Buffalo.
Speaking of plays being chosen, if you come to opening night of Dorian, afterwards you're all invited to a reception where we will be announcing some titles for next season. And part of the process, and again, I am just there logging donations and making everyone else's life easier. But part of the process for selecting our season is Keely is like in the trenches talking to playwrights, working through agents. These aren't like, I picked the title that I wanted from Samuel French and paid for the rights. These are like new works, premieres, just like this season. So be very excited for a season similar to this season as far as excitement and being of the moment, representing voices. And do come to Dorian opening night and hear some of those titles for next season.
Yeah. And then, SJ, I know that you take dance lessons at the Buffalo Irish Center, and I remember saying something to you that every year I say I'm going to go to the Irish Center more. And you said the best way to support the Irish Center is going there and eating their food.
Just get a beer.
Yeah. They have a great pub menu now. Mm-hmm. They've made such vast improvements, and they had some funding issues, some trouble like years ago, and they're just they just tried to exist, and they've done such great work, and they're such amazing people. But yes, the food is amazing. The wings, like I went in skeptical, as a Buffalonian does. No, they're phenomenal. They have great wings, great service, good beer selection. There's always something going on. They have music like all through the season, dancers, the Rinkenatirna dancers, the Harris Greco dancers, Innisfree set dancers. Like there's all these local bands. They bring people in from all over the world. It's any time of the year, please go to the Irish Center. You will not regret it, and you don't have to be Irish to enjoy the Irish Center.
And the Nietzsche sessions on Saturdays.
Yeah.
I want them all to myself, but
I was gonna say
I think we need to encourage.
Yeah,
I mean they're overly packed definitely for this coming weekend, but they are also
you definitely shouldn't go this weekend.
Well, when we come back, we have more to talk about because this time of year also means tournament time, and happy Pi Day. So when we come back, we'll talk more about that on WBFO's group chat.
Every time that we breathe in now, there's a new beginning. We're soaring away, we're starting today. So dive with me. We're alive, alive, alive. We're alive.
Welcome back to Group Chat. I'm your host, Bentley, here with my guests, Pat Kelly, filmmaker and director of content creation at Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Charmagne Chi, performer, comedian, and administrative associate at the Irish Classical Theatre
Respect
Company.
the title, please. Respect the title.
I turn into Anchorman when I get on the show where something's written a certain way. I say it exactly. S.J. Velasquez, director of audio strategy at Buffalo Toronto Public Media.
That's my camera.
And competitive Irish dancer.
Yep.
So, we've talked about the great time of year that it is with St. Patrick's Day, but it is also tournament season. So, even if you're not a basketball fan, the brackets are a thing, right? So, does anybody do an office pool with the NCAA tournament?
I don't know. You tell me. Do we do that here yet?
There is one. I've seen an email, and I'm always the last person. Like, I'm in that group of people that's the
Should
last
you
person.
start one?
No, I don't want to organize that. That's a lot of
Do we
work.
have
That's
one?
a lot of games.
I haven't played one. I do one with my brothers and my cousin, but I would do an office one.
And you don't
Yeah.
really have to be into basketball. I'm really into college basketball. However, you don't have to be into it. And usually the people that win are the people that don't do anything in terms of knowing anything about
No
teams.
strategy at
That's
all.
me. I
Yeah.
won our office fantasy
You do?
football when I worked at HSBC. Yeah. Everybody was mad. Everybody, because they made me do it because they needed one more person and then I won.
And then they regretted it.
Yeah, but
Furious.
that is your revenge because they think, oh, you're not going to know anything, so you should be in our pool and we're going
Right.
to take your money, and then you win. I mean, I've heard of people doing it by uniform colors, and there's really no rhyme or reason. And you can't really predict the upsets either. That's the best part of the tournament, are the big upsets. So that kicks off coming up. So this weekend, Selection Sunday, and then the first four, March 18th to 19th, and then
this
it continues
men's?
every yes.
I like the women's. Men are great, but Mama likes the women's.
And we've actually talked about that on group chat where Naila Ansari was talking about this, how the women's basketball it's more fun to watch. It's
I think
more
so.
strategic. It's a little more like, it could be a little more aggressive,
Yes.
and there's I don't know, there's more plays. There's just
The hairstyles are much more fun. I love it.
And I mean,
It's just as squeaky. It's just as squeaky as the men's.
I do like squeaky sneakers.
It's fun. It is the squeakiest sport in the world. Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like the men's this season has turned into all 3-point shots, which are exciting, but also
College is a little different, at least. I feel like
I
at
like it better than pro.
the pro level, it's
Yeah.
a lot of like 3 points, but
Yeah.
at the college level, they're not as good at shooting threes. I mean, it's
Yeah.
getting,
Yeah.
there are, some people, but
yeah, the I feel supposedly the predicted the hot shots of the tournament are going to be Auburn, Duke, Houston, and Florida. So if anybody's filling out office pools, if you don't win, it's not my fault. But
I'd rank them by mascots personally. Yeah.
see, that's good. My favorite mascot is still Syracuse, and they're
yeah, Syracuse Orange.
Auto all day.
Do you go by mascots that you like or mascots that you think would win in a fight?
Mascots
Against
that
other fight-
are really
other-
freaky.
Yeah. Okay.
I want
The
a big
more
orange.
terrifying. Yeah.
Professional wise, Gritty all the way. Gritty's been my homeboy. Like, I'm a Flyers fan just only because of Gritty. Like, sorry Sabres, but do better with your
Oh,
mascot.
please.
I have respect for Sabretooth.
Sabretooth's gotten better.
Yeah,
he
no, I
interacts
respect.
a little bit.
I
more
respect
now, but-
him. I fear him and I love him, but Gritty.
You don't fear him as much as Gritty.
No,
though.
same as
Yeah.
Otto the Orange.
Now, what is Gritty? For those that don't know,
He's just a monster.
He is.
Yeah.
He
he's
just
just a
is.
monster.
Yeah.
He's like,
You just gotta.
he's just from
look him up.
He's just from Philadelphia.
Just
He's
gotta look him up.
he's a vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all.
he's green, right?
No, he's
No.
orange.
Orange. Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No,
I'm
the-
thinking of the
I got my
Philly
face
fanatic.
done. I went to a Flyers game. I found Gritty. I tracked him. I spent my whole time just trying to track him down. And they had a salon where you can get grittified, and I paid money to get my face painted and
Those
my
are
hair
hours that
painted.
I worked that became.
You went to a Gritty
paint
game.
in my face
not
and
a
my hair.
Flyers
No, I didn't go.
game.
And and then I saw him, and then I was desperately trying to get a picture, and then he saw my face, and then we had a moment. Yeah, I love a mascot.
SJ, a professional Irish dancer and also a scouter of mascots.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Gritty stalker.
Competitive Irish
Gritty, yeah,
dancer.
Gritty stalker.
But I think that's what tournament season, though, the college games, you do see the student sections where everybody's painted colors.
Yeah,
and,
that's so
it's like-
fun.
it's fun. And then, you get to see everybody doing brackets now, like wing brackets and
Yes.
favorite movie brackets.
The Irish
and-
Center is on the wing bracket.
Are they
Call
really?
back. Yes. Yes.
I haven't seen the wing brackets yet.
I need to look that
I need
up,
to
'cause
look
I have a
that
lot
up.
of
Is there like
opinions.
voting for the wing
I
bracket?
think they already determined it. And it got ranked pretty high.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sorry.
We are doing a Music Madness bracket, and Katie, who you are actually going to meet in a few, is our social media coordinator, and we didn't make it too hard for her. This is her first year with us, so we are starting at the Sweet 16. We're not making her do all the other games, but we're just going to do musical artists and not.
That's kind.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, she got a TikTok to launch. So.
Right?
So yeah, I mean, I think with everything overlapping this weekend, and especially with the supposed nice weather, you think like Buffalo's gonna start to feel a little.
We
come
lose
alive
our
a little bit.
minds when the weather, between St. Patrick's Day and the weather being nice, just stay home. I
Yeah.
feel like
I know.
we will lose our minds.
Yeah.
Whenever the parade days are nice, watch.
Oh,
Forget
jeez.
it.
I liked a
Forget it.
snowy parade, a freezing parade when I was a kid, because it's like, oh, good, no one will throw beer on me.
Yeah.
No.
And don't throw beer on children. I can't believe we have to say that.
Don't be a-
Saying anything today on group chat. Do not throw beer.
Don't be a plastic
anywhere.
patty.
Don't be a plastic
Yeah.
patty. Do not throw beer. Do not argue with your significant other. Why do I feel like I see that all over on the sidewalks during the parade? I'm always like walking in between somebody fighting with their significant other. Who probably started their festivities at 10 in the morning, but
But you need to eat the corned beef and cabbage first and
breakfast.
then start drinking.
yes,
Yes.
see, you got to learn. And I think as you get more experience with parades, you learn those.
Yeah.
You learn those.
You know the
things,
good
hopefully.
spots to stand, you know. all
Beer goes in your mouth, not on the children.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And another really fun day, besides corned beef and cabbage and parades and tournament time and punk rock, Pie Day. Did you guys know today being Pie Day, this is a big special holiday? And we actually have a resident pie expert.
What?
Speaking of Katie, who is our social media coordinator. Katie, why don't you come into the...
Okay.
Katie is
Oh my God.
entering the
Okay,
chat.
pie expert.
Hey.
So Katie, tell us your background with pie and Pie Day. Pie is in the number, not the
P.I..
food.
Yeah.
P.I.
I decided randomly in 7th grade that I wanted to learn some numbers of pi. So back then I knew, I think 78, which my cousin actually, he was salutatorian in his school. He knew, I think, way more. But yeah, so I entered, my school was 7th through 12th, and I entered the contest. And of course, I don't think I even placed. Like, my school is huge, so there's definitely people higher than me, but I was, I think, the only 7th grader who entered it. And so, yeah.
7th grade?
Yeah, I just wanted to feel something.
Before we let you show your stuff, because we're gonna have you recite pie for us.
Great.
Everybody else, putting you on the spot.
Oh.
Pat, how many numbers can you recite?
3.
Yeah, I can do 3.
Can you? Oh, you don't have a mic right now, Charmaine.
3.14. That's all I know.
That's all I got, too.
Wow. So you're about to show.
Well,
people
that makes
up.
me feel a little better about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mind blown.
Well, wow, you are not in a tough room at all. You are just all right. Katie, show us your stuff. Recite pie.
3.141592653358997933284716939993. And then I'm 751 maybe and 058 I think.
No, just say it with confidence. We believe you.
058.
We believe you.
Yeah.
Did you intend to kind of like do that with musicality? Like,
Yeah,
'Cause I was
I'm
like,
a musical.
You're like, okay,
Yeah.
pie.
It's like specific.
I didn't know that beat was gonna
like
drop.
three
Even
groups.
told
I know.
me.
It's like waiting for
Three
it.
numbers in groups. 751. Blah, blah,
That was
blah.
50, according to our producers.
Okay.
We're expecting.
Jeez.
What,
So how
43?
do you do that? How do you memorize? Because I memorize lines, but strings of numbers, that seems
Yeah.
much more difficult because I'm not connecting emotion. There's not a through line per se. Like, how do you do that?
Honestly, it's just ingrained in me now since I was like.
But when you
I
were
knew
sitting
more.
seventh grade, you sitting down to what did you
I
do?
remember sitting on my couch in my living room when I was home alone and just staring at my iPod Touch and just doing like each three numbers in a row and then starting over and then just adding the three numbers, going back,
Okay.
starting over. I don't know, and now it's just stuck in my brain. And
Yeah.
over the year, I knew like 70 something, like I said before, so it went down.
But
so
it's like
over the
lyrics
years,
to a song almost for you.
yeah. I mean, I am a singer, so
Yes.
There it is.
I gotta memorize those songs. Well, I did when I was in my a cappella group. So, but
Yes.
now it's just I just gotta remember Pi. So,
So you can remember things, and things do stay with you.
yeah.
It's very.
Yeah.
And tell everybody where you sing now. You're doing
Oh,
a singing
now I'm in
endeavor.
the Buffalo Philharmonic Chorus.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, this is my first year. Yeah,
She will not forget the words.
because
No.
Christina was on last week, and
Yeah.
then we ended up talking about it because she's on a break from the group right now.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
so Bentley
awesome.
found that out last week.
I know. Listen, but everybody was right. You did have a musicality to
Yeah,
it.
You did.
so thank
Next
you.
It
time
was a bop. Pie is a bop. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Next time I need to remember my social security number or something.
Yeah.
I know my social security number.
Do you? Can you recite it?
Nobody else's that I need to know.
And we also have your
All right,
birthday,
Katie.
your middle name.
Your mother's maiden name.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta go make some TikToks and everything.
Yeah,
And
can
follow
you-
us on TikTok at BT Public Media. Yeah, follow us on
Yes.
TikTok.
I'm
We're
already
posting some fun
right
things on
now.
there.
BT
So.
for
right
Buffalo,
now.
Toronto.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. And
Yeah,
yes,
thanks
we
for having
we are
me.
so happy to have you on our side, all these smart people
Thank you.
in our building. So Pie Day, we should have had a pie here. We're sorry
Yeah.
that we don't. But what are your plans for the weekend?
Well, for Pie Day, I ruined a quiche last night. It's technically like a pie crust.
I mean, baking is a whole nother level. I'm not
Yeah.
surprised SJ is good at it because
I don't even know if I'm good at it.
No, I did horribly. To be fair, the recipe wasn't great. It was, I don't know if you watch Great British Bake Off.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know when they do the blind bakes?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So the recipe was kind of like that, where it was like, add eggs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how many
many?
eggs? And it was like,
Yeah.
add filling. And I overfilled it, and it...
It's
yeah.
better that
That's
way.
not a bad thing. Yeah.
no,
It's a
more,
hearty
the more
lunch.
filling,
Yeah.
the more filling, the better.
Everyone's hungry here.
The problem is, because there were so many, I put too many eggs in, it stayed liquid in the center, or it was underdone, as Paul Hollywood would say, in the middle.
wet dough
And
too,
it was,
probably, right?
well, it was a frozen pie crust. It was a...
Did you have a soggy bottom?
That's
Yeah.
I think that's what I was.
It was,
Yeah.
a soggy
Speaking
bottom.
of band names,
The Soggy Bottom Boys.
Yeah. It sounds like an Irish trad band.
I think actually they are, aren't there?
Well, it's from the movie "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" The Coen Brothers
Yes.
movie. It's the
Yeah.
band that plays the like the Appalachian music.
Okay.
yeah. Charmaine, how about you? What are you doing this weekend?
A lot, actually. I'm going to be at the Fabulous Feast, which is the Shakespeare in Delaware Park annual event fundraiser. I'm very excited. You are encouraged to wear Roman garb. The Ides of March are the theme. Is the theme this year?
Ides of March. How did we forget about the Ides of March?
We were so
beware.
focused on pie.
We're so focused on pie.
Trying to block out March.
Where is that?
So it's at the Atrium, Rich's Atrium, but you can get your tickets online. Go to Shakespeare in Delaware Park's website, get your tickets, come enjoy the fabulous feast. They encourage Roman dress, so I'm not literally cosplaying. I got one of those convertible dresses that's very drapey, so I got it in purple because it's like a Roman royal color. So hopefully it looks nice. We'll see. Then Sunday we're gonna see The Princess Bride, An Inconceivable Evening with Carrie Ewells. We're gonna be at UB Center for the Arts seeing that. I'm a huge Princess Bride fan. My dad took me to see it when I was a little kid. I've loved the movie my whole life. It doesn't make me very unique, but so yeah, Carrie Ewells answers questions after the audience does a viewing of Princess Bride, and that's this Sunday at UB.
That is great. And Dorian opens March 28th.
There is a community matinee at 10 a.m. on the 27th. $12 tickets. I believe they're still available online. That's a really accessible option to come see the show. But do join us on the 28th and any time before we close. But on the 28th, you'll get to see the reception and hear about our new season.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Charmaine. You're busy. SJ. You're not dancing in the parade.
I'm not dancing in the parade. Yeah, I have to decide what I want to do, but I'm probably going to be at the Irish Center. They have a ton going on every day this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's probably where I'll end up. But I love going anywhere where I can watch dancing. So I dance with an adult group. I dance with the Rinkin-A-Tirna adults, but all the kids around Western New York are dancing. So I'm going to try to hit up a show, watch some of the kids. Yeah, and you can find all of their schedules likely through Facebook or the Irish Center website can link you back. But yeah, probably just going to try to watch them dancing.
I was going to ask you that the best way to find, because there's so many spots where they send the Irish dancers out. So
my gosh.
Trying to figure out the best way to find.
The best way.
They'll come find you.
Yeah, they will.
They'll be in the grocery store.
Oh, they do go to the grocery store. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Wegmans, Tops. But yeah, there are a ton of dance schools locally. So like I said, Rinkin-A-Tirna, Harris, Greco, McCarthy is around here as well. They do performances all over. Usually just try to find their Facebook pages and they post public performances.
Nice.
And I should also shout out Jigs and Swigs in Buffalo. I don't know if you've heard of this, but if you ever wanted to try dancing in like a no stress format, there are some dancers that I dance with the Rinkin-A-Tirna adult program who run a Irish dance exercise program where they go to a bar or a brewery and you learn how to do basic Irish dancing, have a bunch of fun, and then you drink. Or don't if you choose not to.
Well,
but
that might be how
that sounds really fun.
Jigs and Swigs Buffalo. Yeah,
That's
check them
great.
out.
That
It's
sounds
super fun. You don't have to have any
amazing.
experience. You don't have to be Irish. Like none of those things. You don't have to drink. Just go have fun, get some exercise. Yeah.
I will be attempting to take a toddler to parades this weekend and dancing. I did it last year, but I will be on my own with that this year because my significant other is out of town. So I may just go to the Irish Center Saturday and then do the parade, the Sunday parade. So he loves Irish dancing, so he might be the next generation.
Oh, yeah.
He should come to Jigs and Swigs.
I mean,
We love a little boy Irish dancing too.
yeah, I know. Thanks for joining us today on Group Chat. That wraps up today's episode. If you want to continue the conversation, make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at WBFO News. Also, check us out on the video podcast on the Buffalo Toronto Public Media YouTube channel. I have not had any whiskey today or Guinness. Maybe I need
Or
some.
food, which I think is the problem.
I think that's a problem. And if you love public media and you love shows like this, visit protectmypublicmedia.org to learn more about how you can take action and stay informed. I'd like to thank my guests, Pat Kelly, Charmagne Chi, and SJ Velasquez. I'm your host, Bentley. Have a great weekend, and thanks for listening.